Yo, what's up, everybody? Welcome into the Prophecy Podcast. I'm your host, Obese the Prophet. We got a great show tonight. We have some strange news, some sad news to get into. Got a guest co-host tonight with us, joining us. But yeah, without further ado, let me bring in the usual co-host, usual suspect. This is Justin Martin.
Hi.
What up? And tonight we have a special guest co-host with us, joining us, ready to talk hip hop and conspiracies and aliens and all that good stuff. Great friend of mine, former colleague, co-worker, if you will, Derek Cooper. What's up?
What's going on? Appreciate it. Thanks for having me.
What's happening? Yeah. So yeah, why don't you just give everybody a brief introduction of yourself and let them know, who you are, what you do, whatever, what you have done.
Yeah, I live in Northern Maine. I'm originally from Northern Maine. My pops is from Inglewood, California, but he joined the Air Force. Used to be Air Force Base about an hour from here. So my mother's from a town called Madawaska. So that's where I grew up. Started writing rhymes at probably, I don't know, maybe 11, 12 years old, more of a therapeutic than as a musical way of doing things. And but always had a love for music. My parents raised me listening to a lot of like classic soul. So I was always interested in music. And yeah, I met Obese the Prophet. I don't even remember what year that might have been. 2010. I don't even know, something like that.
2011 probably.
Right, something like that.
Yeah.
Randomly, he was like, "Yo, I'm a producer. I make beats." I'm like, "For real?" I was like, "I have a lot of stuff written down." He's like, "Yeah, come over to my crib." I went over to his crib. He had this like little trailer, like not even trailer, it was like a little shed. It was decked out, had a studio room with soundproof room. He had his computer, whatever. We made probably 50, 60 songs in our whole career, somewhere around there. And yeah, now I'm a school teacher at a high school in Fort Kent, Maine, which is right next door to where I grew up. I teach special ed math, high school. I still write, constantly write, always write. And yeah, I just grew up in an era. I'm 39, I'm almost 40. So I grew up in an era of a lot of freestyling, lyrics, lyrics over image, lyrics over beats, lyrics over. So yeah, I love East Coast and West Coast, but obviously have a love for West Coast from my father. I grew up listening to a lot of Dogpound, Daz, and Corrupt.
Yeah, West Coast.
And then when Dre came back in '99 with the Chronic 2001, we listened to that over and over and over. So that's a lot of my dad, and then a lot of my friends listen to a lot of East Coast. I listen to a lot of Wu-Tang. Raekwon the Chef's one of my favorite MCs of all time. Nas obviously is one of my favorite as well. I'm not gonna lie, super sad when DMX passed. He was actually somebody I grew up listening to. He would get me pumped before athletic events. So, yeah, I'm just a normal dude, just trying to let people know, no matter where you live or who you are, where you're from, you can always love something. And hip hop is just a love for me, and I love Ryan's love for hip hop and how he gives me freedom to do what I want to do when I make music. So I'm here to support. What's up?
Hell yeah, and your insight and input is valuable, so it's great to have you here. So without further ado, though, let's get into tonight's guests. Dude goes by the name of something new. He's making noise out here. He's making some dope fucking music. We're gonna listen to some of it. We're gonna get into our usual spiel and talk to him. And of course, if you have any input or questions that you want to ask along the way too, obviously feel free to do that. So without further ado, what's up, man?
Yo, what's up, y'all? How's everything going?
Pretty good.
Thank you all for having me. I was really excited when you guys hit me up, and I'm like, all right, bet it's time. It's time to get back out in the interview scene.
Yeah, I mean, it's been a long time since this whole COVID thing kind of messed things up and slowed things down or whatever. So it's good to get back out there and start doing stuff again. I kind of stayed busy. I mean, through 2020, I didn't really do anything. 2021 hit, and after spring came, I just kind of started doing stuff again, and I had been vaccinated, and I felt good about it. And then new variants came out, and it was like, I'm just going to hang back now and do whatever. And I'm just thinking this thing's going to turn into like a seasonal thing where it's not really going to go away, I don't think. And we'll just kind of be more used to it, and it won't really be that big of a deal, which will be good. So hopefully when we get to that point, we can really go full bore with the shows and full bore with getting out here and doing more music videos, especially throughout New England, not just me especially being here in Maine and shit. I like to get out, and I want to get into New Hampshire and Vermont and see some artists out there, do some videos in that area.
That'd be really cool.
Try to explain. Yeah, I mean, I like it out there, so it'd be good to get out there and combine. I like to combine things. All right, do some music videos, and also it's like a mini vacation.
Mm-hmm.
I like that shit. But yeah, let's jump into it, man. Why don't you give everybody out here, an introduction of yourself, like how you got started, how you got your name, and all that good stuff.
Bet. My name is actual name is Marco Rodriguez, but the stage name is something new, or Marco the Flambe or Flambe. It kind of goes all over the place. But
Yep.
I've been rapping since I want to say, what has it been, like 7 years at this point? So that's like 2015. But even then, I've always been writing. I've always been fascinated with writing, whether it be making journals or doing poetry or writing short stories, or I've always been super passionate about writing. And then it just happened to end up me making rap music. And here we are, I guess.
Oh,
But so I've been writing and jotting down music since 2015, but I started recording more at around 2017 because I wasn't really sure if I wanted to go on and actually decide to make music and whatnot. But over the course of time, the more interest I grew in it, the more time I invested into it, and the more time I invested in writing, I'm like, fuck it, right? Who cares? I'm gonna make the music for me anyways. Like, it doesn't matter who likes it.
Yeah,
I'm gonna make it.
I say that all the time too. The music it's more about me, especially. Like, I'm not really worried about what everybody else has got to say about the music. You know what I'm saying? Do it for therapy. That's what I say.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And I used to use it as a coping mechanism for stress, for classes, and everything. But then I just according to everyone else, I just happened to be really good at it. So I decided to go on or try to retain my proficiency and basically just improve as much as possible. And here I am in 2022, still writing, still going on performances here and there, still mentoring other artists, because I feel like we all kind of live the same life, especially in a creative, whether it be like drawing or painting, we all have similar mind states in that fact. So I've always been able to put in my 2 cents and, try to exchange ideas with other people in regards to creation and why they create and how to create. And, it's been a really fun ride, especially considering that I've learned so much over the course of doing this, and I've met so many cool and interesting people in the process. And so I think it's really rewarding to get as far as I have, even though a lot of other people have probably gotten farther faster. I kind of don't give a fuck. I'm trying. I'm here for me. I'm here for art. I'm here for creating. I'm here because I'm passionate about what I do. So I don't really care about the pacing at which I'm going, as long as I'm doing something that I enjoy at the end of the day.
Right. The second that it's not really something you enjoy anymore, it's not really fun anymore. It's not the point. You know what I mean? So you just got to do it. And like I said earlier, you just can't really worry about what anybody does. And the pace of it really doesn't matter either. I mean, back in the day when I was younger, I thought, this got to happen by a certain time, but I don't really think anything even has to happen. You know what I'm saying? Like, at this point, I think a lot of things have happened, and I'm happy with what has happened and what I've done and what I put out. Like, if I send someone to go listen to my music and they like it, I'm like, cool. If they don't, I'm like, cool. You know what I mean? So
no harm's done. Music is subjective. It's not that deep.
I'm not offended if you don't like it, but I do try to, in my music, I do try to carry a message about it where it's respectable and shit like that. You know what I'm saying? So I hope that people don't look at it and be like, oh, fucking whatever. But if they do, then that's on them. It doesn't bother me. You know what I mean?
Yeah, exactly. You're entitled to your own opinion. You're like, I'm not.
A step is a step. It doesn't have to be a huge step. You know what I'm saying? Just making steps. And the forward motion is what fucking helps propel us. You know what I'm saying? But yeah. So, how did you get your name though? I want to know that.
How did I get my name? It's mad crazy. When I first initially started, I used to have a really bad and ignorant old head mentality because I was, because I have a certain set of influences that are not necessarily dated, but they come from a different era of rap music where certain things were more prominent, such as like lyricism, punchline, structure, cadence. You know, like certain things were like you have to do these things right or you're shit, you're trash. You know, like, and at the time it was really closed-minded, I would say, because I would be like, if you don't do any of these things, then you're ass, you're trash. When that's just not the case. There's so many more intricacies in music that not a lot of people pay attention to, unless you're actually in it, unless you make music or do any sort of creative. You know, there's just so much more that meets the eye. Anyway, when I originally started, you know, because it always starts with me with freestyling with my friends, you know, you know, thinking that you're hot shit and whatnot. And so like I was thinking about it, and I was like, if I'm really gonna go out and make music, like I want to be something different. You know, I want to be something that's unique. I don't want to be like everyone else. I don't want to make this similar sound to anyone else. I want to be, you know, something different, something new. I want to make something new. And I'm like, wait a minute. Hold the phone. And so I remember my boy and I were like looking through SoundCloud, looking through Spotify and YouTube. We're like, all right, we need to make sure that no one else has this thing. And pretty much no one else does. No one reputable does. So I'm in the clear. So I'm like, you want to know what? I'm just going to stick with that name, something new. Because I feel like with everything that I do, it's a fresh approach to a modernized take on music. And it's a new and fresh approach to rap music or whatever music you would categorize me in, whatever sound you would categorize me at this point.
Right.
Kind of all over the place.
We've been over this a few times too. Like there's so many subgenres of hip hop now because of how popular it is. It's almost like hip hop is pop music at this point. You know what I'm saying?
You know, definitely.
But I'm kind of there with you. You know what I mean? And I think everybody here in this room with us right now is probably on the same page with being kind of hip hop purists in a way. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like we want to listen to lyricism and shit like that too. Like I want to hear bars, and I like to write bars, you know, in my music as well. Like I said, I try to focus on certain aspects and issues and shit like that. But I try to, you know, be multi-syllable with my raps and all this other stuff. But I do at times, you know, like to listen to some Migos or some Future and shit like that. Don't get me wrong.
Absolutely. Yeah, I feel like people forget that you're not supposed to take things super seriously. You know, like you can just enjoy things for the sake of enjoying them, and that's something that I think that's something that made my growth so exponential. Because at first I kind of closed myself off from that type of music, from trap and the different subgenres of trap and whatnot. Mm-hmm. The mumble rap stigma, so to say.
Yeah.
Then over the course of time, when I decided to make my own music and started to pay attention to certain techniques that other rappers or other engineers would employ inside of their music, I would be like, oh shit, he's doing this. Or like, oh wow, that's a really creative spin to doing that. I wouldn't think of doing that. You know, right. It's all about perspective, and it's all about, you know, taking something and transforming it. That's what art is, creating something.
Like, Marco, how old are you, Marco?
Me, I just turned 24.
Okay, so your experience in hip hop is like so different than me and Obese's experience in hip hop. You know what I mean?
I think so.
You sound like an old soul. You sound like you got a nice appreciation for the older lyricist type music. So you're kind of you're trying to find that middle ground where you can mend all those styles together. See, like I felt it was a lot simpler in my day because, you know, I was able to focus on two things. One was lyrics and a bass line. And as long as you could spread a message out to the people, didn't always have to be a serious message. It could be, you know, Dear Mama, or it could be I Get Around. You know, there was a very, you know what I'm saying? But like what you're talking about is real interesting because you're bringing a whole different style that a lot of us older heads, we're not very familiar with how that is considered crafty and artsy, right? So I'm anxious to hear some of your stuff.
So I was going to say,
you guys to hear it, man. I'm really excited to see what you guys think about it because it's like, all over the place.
I was gonna say when I first heard like Migos and shit, I was like, nah, I ain't gonna fucking listen to that shit. You know what I'm saying? And I'm like, nah. And I was like, they're trash, right? But then when I took the time to sit there and listen to what they were saying and actually listen with an open mind, it became pretty dope. And I started looking up the lyrics, and I'm like, wow, okay, so these guys are rapping in triplets, right?
Yeah, you wouldn't
And
even think
at
about
the same
that.
time, they're using pretty big words. They're using multi-syllable words too to hit in the ba da ba da ba da ba da ba ba da ba. You know, sitting in that fucking flow. And I'm like, oh, so everybody thinks that this is easy and no. So I'm gonna try it, and I couldn't do it, and couldn't do it, and couldn't do it, and I had to sit there and write and practice and practice. I'm like, well, this is actually a lot harder than you might think it is, or whatever. So then I started thinking, well, actually, you know what? Future kind of does this, and Future's not as good as some of those Migos dudes, as lyrically, you know what I'm saying? But he comes with a vibe and shit. But Migos, man, they hold it down. They do not slouch when it comes to rapping. Yeah, their topics are a little different than what I might listen to or want to hear, you know what I'm saying? But as far as rapping, they're solid, bro. And I would have never said that when they first dropped. I think 2015, whatever, 2016. I was not listening to them.
Absolutely,
But
absolutely.
So yo, I think we're getting ahead of ourselves because we will have this same discussion later in the show with old rap versus new rap. But
yeah, that's what I was saying earlier. I'm like, pick the
what
right
I
one.
was thinking when we started popping off on this topic was, what are some of your influences, Marco?
What are some of my influences?
Yeah, like Mr. Cooper just like alluded to, like you sound like an old soul. Like you got something from back in our days in the 90s.
Mm-hmm.
But you also have, perspective of a younger person. So who got you into thinking, oh, I could do this too? Like, who are you listening to that got you into rap? Like, it's getting you to rap.
Yeah. It's mad crazy because it really just depends on the time period. Because it's like when I was younger, I was listening to a lot of Eminem. You'll be like, oh yeah, he totally listens to Eminem by the way that I do shit in my music. But a lot of Eminem, a lot of Jay-Z, a lot of Kanye West, but it's crazy because those are things that I studied over the course of time, and those are musicians who I was like, oh, they know how to do their thing, they know how to do their craft really well. But it's like insane because while I was like, oh, maybe in the future I could rap, that's something I wasn't really thinking about. But when I truly started freestyling and whatnot, I was thinking of artists like Lil Uzi Vert and Lil Yachty, and it's mad crazy because it's like, because they're not like comparing Eminem to Lil Uzi, it's like it's night and day. They're two completely different artists with two completely different sounds and two completely different, not only demographics, but two completely different mind states of music. One focuses on one thing and the other one focuses on a completely different thing. However, when I first started to rap, when I first started to make music, write musically, I was like, I don't know what, this guy's just having fun. This guy's just doing what he wants. He can just make whatever music that he wants to make for the sake of making it. And he doesn't really care about the art, the perception that he's given or the labels that they're given. I can do something like that. I can do that. I can totally do that. And so it's crazy. I think it's crazy because it's if you listen to my music, it's like, oh, spiritual miracle at times. But at the same time, it's like the whole point of me doing this is a form of self-expression. The whole point of me doing this is because I want to do this and I don't care whether you like it or not. It's just what I have to do.
Yeah, you have to do it. That's exactly right. Yeah.
I think the dichotomy of those, two guys that you mentioned, I think that those two influences, you take aspects of each of them and make it your own. Like, you're not trying to emulate this guy because he does this well and I want to do that well. And you're not trying to emulate this other guy because he does something different and I like that now and I'm going to try to do that. You're kind of pulling things, getting inspired, if you will, from different artists doing different things. And you're like, oh, I kind of like a piece of this and a piece of this. And I'm going to put it together and see, if I do it, how it sounds. So I think how true artists, I feel like that's how true artists should be, and seeing what's around them, seeing what's inspiring to them, and then taking pieces of those things and kind of combining it, and like a chef kind of whipping something up and seeing what happens, so that's pretty cool.
Thank you.
But yeah, I think a lot of us do that, and the influences you have are similar influences too to like me and my music and everything else like that. So I don't really see any. It's crazy that you can find people who are younger that will attach themselves, especially to that era of music. It's not like the first time we've seen this with a younger person or younger people who are into that, and that I think really just it just shows a lot, I think, of the longevity behind that music too, that came out of that era, and the messages that they were talking about, and the way they said it, and like the way they made their beats and all that shit. A lot of those beats were, the hardware they were using, MPC 2000, MPC 4000, 2500, whatever. They had their own sounds, and the Roland and all that stuff. They all had their own sounds, and now it's a lot of FL Studio and less hardware, and it's like, you see that in some music, and you can tell when a producer's really hitting it. Even if they're using FL Studio, you can still bang out some fucking bangers. I know I do it all the fucking time. I'm not saying you can't, but there's just a certain sound you can emulate it with FL Studio if you know what you're doing, but
what I've learned about music, it's so individualistic, and it really just depends on who you are and what you can make with the things that you have, because like you can have Ableton. I mean, no, not Ableton. From Audacity, for example. Yeah. Can you tell that I'm not a producer? Anyway, you can have like Audacity, and if you're able to maneuver around it well, you can make something really good, or something that's perceived as really good, When you could have, at the same time, you could have Pro Tools, but if you're not invested in it, if you're not experienced in it, if you're not putting yourself into it, then you're going to make something that's less quality, and that's not going to sound as good. You feel me? So it's all about who the person is in front of it and how they're using the tools that they have with them. How you're using it, how you're using your mind in order to creatively make something different, something new. You know what I'm saying? Like, it depends on it depends on you. It really does. Just at the end of the day, it depends on who you are as a person and what you're willing to experiment with and what you're really willing to tamper with in order to get a desired result that's satisfactory to you. Yeah.
Yep. No doubt. So yeah, Justin, we're gonna jump into strange news right now.
All right.
Let's get into it, because I got a few things. And so let's jump into that, and we'll start with, what was that first one you had sent me over? The TV star, something about a house.
Yeah, there's this model. Apparently, she used to be on a reality TV show. Let's see, what the fuck show was she on? 90 Day Fiancé was the show. Okay. So she is a reality TV star / model, because you know how they are. Apparently went to the hospital recently for a heart condition due to farting, and she has been apparently selling her farts online. Yeah, and she said she makes more than 50 G's a week selling her farts. Now, she was apparently eating lots of beans and like changed her diet in order to get and produce these things.
Taco Bell every day.
Exactly. Beans on beans on beans. And then apparently she had changed her diet. Her steady diet of gas-inducing beans and eggs resulted in a very uncomfortable feeling that sent her to the hospital with chest pains that she believed were symptoms of a heart attack. So, the self-proclaimed fartpreneur had squeezed up to 50 jars worth of farts a week to keep up with demand.
Jesus.
Oh,
I don't know who's buying fart jars.
I heard about somebody who bought one. They put it on. He said it smelled like nothing. It don't even smell like anything. She's mailing out blank jars. It don't even
Right?
smell like anything.
Cans of air.
If I go
So,
to
yeah.
school,
I thought that was fucking hilarious.
Oh my god.
So, that is crazy. But right now, since we got it on the screen, I do want to mention that Bob Saget
fucking god.
of
Yeah.
Full House has been found dead at 65 in Orlando, Florida today. They don't know why he was touring. And the cause of death obviously has not been revealed. It just happened, today. So, thoughts go out to his family and stuff like that. What a funny guy. If you ever watch any of his stuff after he did Full House, he had some pretty good stand-up comedy stuff that he did. That's pretty funny. So,
Oh my god.
probably be a spike in people watching that right now. So,
Full House was the biggest front. Full House was the biggest front out of his whole character, all his characters. That was the biggest front.
yeah, and with let's jump over Coop to your story about that New City apartment fire today that happened.
Yeah, so my mother's always on the news 24/7. She sends me all the hot shit. Yeah, a Bronx project building in the Bronx. First floor, little kid playing with the stove. Spark flies, lights something on fire, lights the whole project on fire. 19 people dead. I think of the 19, 9 of them were kids. People were like running out in black smoke and said they were hearing like kids yelling help and shit.
Mm.
And they said because it's an old building, it only has to cover like the Bronx restriction. It don't have to cover the New York restriction. So there wasn't like a lot of fire escapes for people to get out of. So people are just cluttering. I don't know if you ever been to a New York project housing.
Oh yeah,
it's tight in the hallways. It's almost like a dorm, right?
Yeah.
Shorts.
So yeah, man, it was real sad to see this. They said it was the worst fire since 9/11. With 19 people dying in one fire, it's the worst fire since 9/11.
Yeah.
And I guess they're giving a lot of shit to the dude that owns the building because I guess he hasn't really done shit with the building. But you know what? Nobody's doing shit with any of the project housing. Let's be real. I'm not going to get into all the gentrification issues, but I'm just saying it is what it is.
Oh man.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's a sad story. 9 kids are dead. Most people living in project housing are trying to get out of project housing. So the fact that you're going to die in that joint,
Right.
super sad. But I don't want to make everything sad tonight.
Right. So
Start with me, end with the fart. Start with mine, end with the fart.
Yeah, I was gonna say, how do we transition from a woman selling to a man dying to a man?
We're
in the wrong order. We're in the wrong order.
Transition over to this other story that you had over. Justin.
Yeah, we're gonna make a really awkward transition to talking about Leonardo DiCaprio.
Yep.
And apparently they discovered this new species of trees in where is it? Some African jungle.
Igbo Forest in Cameroon.
Cameroon, that's right. So he's got a tree species named after him, and the scientists that named it wanted to honor him and his ecological endeavors. Because he campaigned to put an end to logging in this particular forest in Cameroon. So, logging, if you didn't know, is fucking just cutting down a shit ton of trees.
Yeah.
And, selling them off as planks of wood, making them into paper, whatever, what have you. But Leonardo DiCaprio has been an outspoken supporter of climate change and changing, humans' activities.
That's right.
So he was campaigning to stop the logging and clear cutting in this forest. So the scientists were like, "Hey, let's name a fucking new tree after this guy." So shout out to Leo.
I think he has a documentary out, actually. A few years ago, he put out an environmental directed documentary. I didn't see it, but my girlfriend
told me.
It's on
Netflix, I believe. It's on Netflix.
Yeah, is it on Netflix? Yeah,
I believe so. Yeah.
Yeah, it was,
he's good with his money. That dude is loaded.
Exactly.
He's so good with his money because he's one of them layered type actors, right? So he can play so many spectrums. I'm sorry, I don't know if you saw The Last Matrix, But Keanu Reeves is not a layered actor. Okay, Keanu Reeves has got one layer, and that
He's
Matrix movie
fucking John
really
Wick all the
disappointed.
time, dude.
He's
Kinda.
John Wick.
Kind of.
He's John Wick.
But yeah, Leonardo, man, props to him for sure, man. He's using his money the right way.
So I have a strange story too. That's something that I want to talk about. So, and there's a little video to play with this too. Apparently, a bright UFO was spotted chasing a plane, and some of the strangest footage this person who wrote this had ever seen. Apparently, so
Why? No, a UFO would never have to chase a plane. It wouldn't even be a contest.
Right.
They're having a race.
So here's the thing. This bright thing in the contrails is actually what they're talking about. And here it breaks away from the contrails.
Oh,
Is that a fighter jet?
Well, they don't know what it is, and here's the video. I just want to play it so we can look at it and see what we think of it here.
Damn, that's fast as fuck. He's going crazy.
Keeping up with it. Breaks off. It does a huge fucking weird maneuver. Shoots the other way.
Oh shit!
that's like a something that came off that jet.
That alien literally just wanted to flex how fast
They
it
ain't
was.
coming out like that. They don't come out like that. They don't just come out randomly to chase a jet. Like, nah, UFOs don't play around like that.
Really just pulled out just to see how, just to be like, yo, I'm faster than you, by the way. I'm out of here. I don't even care if my species gets like discovered. I'm out.
Why would it just veer off like that? That's
Look, you see me, but you can't catch me. I'm going this way.
Exactly. What a flex. What an actual flex. What a oh, Jesus Christ.
So I mean, I've gone through a lot. I have a lot of them on my Chrome reading list. But that one stood out to me. I was like, could this be CGI? What the fuck was it? I don't know. It's just one of those things you can't really say for sure what it is. I always like to talk about those things, and strange news is what it is. So I figured I'd bring it up. But yeah, Marco, man, let's talk about your first projects that you ever had put out. You said roughly 2017 was it that you actually started like recording, putting stuff out? I know you said like 2015 you kind of got into it, but let us know about that.
So it was mostly, when I first initially started dropping things, it was a lot of just random freestyles I would have with my friends that I would just happen to record, because my friends were like, oh, you should man, you're going crazy, you should just stop, record it and whatnot. And I'm like, okay, cool, why not? So I would just put my phone in the middle of our freestyles and just record that. And so I would make the covers, because Snapchat lets you like do like extensive photo editing. And so I would just be playing around just shits and giggles, not really giving too much of an effort about it, And then I would share it here and there and be like, hey, I did a thing, check it out, I guess. Yeah. And so from there, it like the freestyles were like, they're okay, they're mediocre at best, in my opinion. But then more and more people started coming to me and it's like, Marco, maybe you should take things a little bit more serious. You have like some sort of talent, you might as well utilize it, right? And I'm like, I don't even give a fuck, dude. I'm just like spitting bullshit. Who cares? But then I'm like, I started thinking about it more and more, and I'm like, I wonder what could happen if I decided to take things a little bit more serious. And so then at around 2019. I dropped my first and only project that's out currently, Flambe, a demonstration, which is basically a demo tape. And it was a really self-reflective piece of work of my stressors at the time, what I was thinking about shit, how I would tackle certain beats. It was I think it was relatively wide range, because it'd be like, real, gritty 90s hip hop, and then it would just be a random trap song. And I think like I was having money problems at some point, so I made a song about budgeting at some point, just shit that relates to me, because it's like, I don't like, who gives a fuck? It's my music. I decide to do whatever I want to, like I can make whatever I feel like. And so it was just like, I always reflect back to that piece of work, because it's like, those are my roots, kind of. Those are the things that kind of were a stepping stone for me to become who I am, not only musically, but as a person, because it's like that was just who I am. That's who I was at the time. You know, those are the things that bothered me. That was the way that I thought about things at the time. So I'm really appreciative of, even though it's not like my best work, it's still something that I'm extremely proud of, because I fucking decided to put out music in the first place, and I decided to actually care about it. I decided to make something that I can be like, this is me, even though it was at this time, this is still me, and I'm still proud of it. Two, it's like, what was I, like 17, 18 maybe? What 17, 18-year-old is rapping about fucking trying to get their life together when you know that you can, especially at that time, you know? And a lot of people are, but it's like, oh, I hate my mom, she sucks, you know? Like, I had a lot of my contemporaries be like, oh, wow, this is actually good. And, you know, and it's cool because it's cool to hear other people who have done this longer than you, who are around the same age as you, be like, oh, wow, Marco, you're actually, like, really good. I don't know why you haven't done this earlier. And I'm like, I just haven't felt like it. But
I wasn't born yet. Like, come on.
but once I dropped the demo tape, I was like, you know, maybe I should start giving music a much more serious approach. And so since then I've been focusing on structuring my writing, focusing on songwriting specifically, focusing on my tone, my cadences, my if you'll learn this about me when listening to my music, but I got flow switches like girls got clothes. You feel me? Like I switch a flow at a drop of a hat. At every blink, I'm like switching something. You know, that's why it's mad fun. I enjoy it. I enjoy making music the way that I do, and I enjoy being able to employ so many different, not only like musical devices, but so many literary devices. Because I'm not gonna lie, I used to be like an honor student, APs, you know, all those cool classes, college courses and shit. And so it's cool to be like, hey, I use the rule of 3 in a rap song. That's pretty cool. Hey, I was able to employ the word braggadocious and it sounded cool. You know what I'm saying? Like, you feel me? Like, it's just cool to be able to basically have so much freedom in making music, and not only just making music, in making anything. Because if it's not you, then why do it? If you don't fuck with it, then why do it? You know.
So my cousin Justin was in some honor classes. Weren't you in some honor shit coming up, man?
Oh yeah.
You know something about that.
I'm a nerd.
Yeah. Exactly.
I didn't get the greatest grades coming up, but I did eventually get a degree. So I mean, there's that, and I'm actually enrolled right now full time to be getting my bachelor's. So
shout out, congratulations, dude! That's
and
sick.
So, but you know, my grades are mediocre, but I make it happen. You know what I'm saying? So
that's what matters.
Learning is an awesome thing. But I wanted to ask, if when you were coming up, like, did you participate in school, like band or choir? I know you said you did a lot of writing and stuff like that, but were you ever doing any music through school or anything?
A lot. I was doing a lot of music through school, actually. It was kind of like, not a lot necessarily, but like I was doing a lot of clubs. I used to be super into extracurriculars. If you check my yearbook, it's like when you go to the clubs, it's just like a page and then it's me, and then a page and then it's me, and then a page and then it's me again, and then it's me in like 3 different areas. I was out there. I was doing shit. But I was in a lot of clubs, and some of those being my more music-related clubs would be like poetry. You know, they would be in helping other people, and a lot of a lot of volunteer work. You know, so it's just like a lot of anime and a lot of, you know, drawing and art clubs and whatnot. Cool. So it's just like I like doing things. I like learning new things, and I like trying to figure out my perspective of doing something new and creative. You know, like even if it's something that I haven't just done before, I would rather put my hand in it just to give it a try. You know, so it's enjoyable. I love it.
Dope, man. Do you listen to anything besides hip hop? Like, is there any genres that you listen to besides hip hop?
Hell yeah.
What are some of your favorite non-hip hop genres?
It's like I I used to be super into death metal for a while. I still am here and there. I don't pay as much attention as I used to, so I'm a little bit out of the scene. But I used to be a super big death metal fan. Heavy metal. I like to take musical phases, if you will. So I like to switch up the genre from what I'm listening to, because I think music in itself is such a beautiful thing. There's so many ways to do one thing, I think. There's so many different ways to interpret one specific thing. So now I'm currently listening to, let's see what's on my, I like to save a bunch of music and then just take a day, whether it be like cleaning or drawing or painting or doing something, I would be listening to that. And so let's see what is the most recent thing I have. It's like a lot of Japanese city pop. That's what I'm going through right now. A lot of Japanese city pop. That's what's going on.
What is that?
It's like just, it's like cruise music almost, you put it in the car and, it's just people singing, a lot of bands, a lot of drumming, a lot of guitar strums. It's a lot of different instruments, It's really nice. It's really nice. I'll even put something in the chat if you guys want, like just an example.
Check it out, yeah.
I've never heard that before.
It's really good. I fuck with it heavy. I enjoy it.
I'm thinking of like an old Kill Bill movie when they had a band playing in one of the rooms when I don't know. Anyways, yeah.
It's mad crazy that you mentioned Kill Bill, because I have like 2 songs from Kill Bill in like my liked list type shit.
Yeah. And the RZA did most of that too.
Exactly. Yo, dude. Dude, Riz is a whole other animal when it comes to the Japanese and Chinese influence and
like all his drums are like the same for a long time. But
movies, that man's a fucking genius. Have you guys ever seen Afro Samurai?
Oh yeah.
The music from Afro Samurai. He's too good. He's too good. He's too talented for his own good, honestly.
So, Marco, what would be your favorite unexplained phenomenon? Like, if you had something like you could talk about for hours and hours, and it was like paranormal or like Bigfoot, zombies, fucking conspiracies, whatever it may be, ghosts, what would that be for you?
I think it would probably be ghosts. I'm a firm believer that spirits exist, and that there's just in my opinion, there's too much that we don't know in order to be like, this doesn't exist. Or
do you have any personal experiences with it? Have you seen one?
I think so.
One? Yeah.
There are times where I would be like just doing nothing, and then like random shit would be falling. Or like sometimes I would be like super negative and like screaming inside of my house or some shit. And then like take for example, like something would fall. And what I've learned about shit like that it's really just about how you interpret shit. It's really about how you take it. Because once I heard like 2 or 3 things fall in subsequently, I'm like, okay, maybe I need to calm down. Maybe I need to chill the fuck out. Maybe I'm not, it's not crazy. Like,
yeah.
I think there's too little that we as humans know in order for us to be like, this is this for this reason. I like to think that there's so much that we don't know, and that there's so much that could be explored, that we shouldn't be super closed-minded as we would about these things. I'm really big into like existentialism and shit like that. I know it doesn't have anything to do with ghosts, but it's like, there's too much that we don't know in order to be like, this is this. I don't feel comfortable being like our knowledge is capped and limited. I feel like our knowledge can only be capped and limited by the things that we set ourselves to. If you think that you know this much about a thing and you feel like you'll never learn more about a particular subject, and that's you. You can do that. That's fine. There's no problem. but there's just too much that I haven't experienced. Maybe because I'm younger, so I haven't, gone out into the world and done a lot of things. But I feel like there's so much for me to learn. I don't know. I don't have all the answers, but I'm able to make a few based on the things that I have lived through and I have experienced.
Yeah. We talk about it a lot because this is something we bring up now. This is like 36 or 7 episodes we've done of this. So we've talked about it a lot. And I think one of the things that I always like to try to tie to the phenomenon of, aliens, Bigfoots, ghosts is, I'm 50-50 with it. I don't know. I've had some things happen where, I think I've told the story before on here where my grandmother Nell had passed away in Florida, and somebody had showed up at my mother's house like a week, not even a week later, I don't think, and she happened to drive the same kind of car. My mother had a little shop out front of her house. She made crafts, right? So it wasn't unusual for people to stop in. There was a sign out front, so it wasn't unusual people pop in. But this person in particular, I was there and happened to see him pull in and drove the same kind of car, Volvo, that Nell had driven, was the same stature, had the same haircut, same color hair, had glasses, right? And the glasses that Nell wore, she always wore that thing that goes around the back of your neck, so you could take them off. It was like reading glasses you could hang around your neck. She had them hanging on her neck. And when she got out, and I was like, wow, I was blown away. And I went into the front room and told my mother, someone's here. And I was like, they look just like Nell, right? So this lady comes in and my mother just couldn't stop staring at her. And eventually, she was looking at the stuff, and my mother and her got to talking. My mother actually got the book with this, my grandmother Nell in it, and showed it to the lady. And she was just, shaking her head too. Like, wow, this is crazy. Like you could have been doppelgangers for real, right? And so my mother's like, hey, you know what? Where are you from? Blah, blah, blah. They said they're from Massachusetts, and they were just passing by, going to Kennebunkport tourism. They're just on their way, and they happened to see it. And she's like, we'll be here for a few days. And my mother said, well, you should stop back by tomorrow. Maybe we could go get coffee or something. Lady, she was with somebody else. They're like, oh, yeah, definitely. We'll stop back by, and we'll see you and stuff. My mother's like, all right. So they take off, and come to find out that lady's name, when she said, my mother said, what's your name, And the lady's name was Angel. I shit you not, dude. And,
wow.
And so they'd leave, and, my mother never hears from them again. They never stop back by. My mother never hears from them again. It's just one of those stories where I couldn't fucking explain it. It was one of those things like, that's just really a really, really, really strange coincidence, kind of in a way, But other than that, I really haven't had personal experiences with any supernatural things falling or seeing anything like that. But I'm not saying it can't happen. But one of the ways that I like to explain it is I lump it all into like multiverse, like multiple universes, multiple dimensions that are here. And for some reason, maybe Bigfoots or aliens exist in one dimension, and they sometimes cross into ours, and we're happy to see them like that. People see them. I personally haven't really seen much of any of that. And I've been in the woods, and I look at the sky, like I do that shit. I don't see much of anything, but I do, look on YouTube and on the internet for stuff, because obviously that's kind of my job with this show, is to find shit like that. But an easy way to explain it is that multiverse kind of idea. I think we've talked about it probably like a dozen times on here. When we bring it up, I just feel like I'm like a really scientific guy, so like I want to see the proof, I want to see evidence and shit like that. So we're not collecting the evidence as we should. So I'm wondering why not? You know what I'm saying? Why not? If it's people seeing it and blah blah blah, why aren't we getting anything? And to say it doesn't exist if people are seeing it is weird. But the multiverse could explain it, I think, in a lot of ways. A lot of that shit.
The way I think of it, it's just like, I feel like it's just like, not only is it perspective, but it's symbolism.
Yeah.
Like it really just depends on what you're getting from that. So take your story, for example, and I think that really is imperative to the point that I'm trying to make here, is that the way I would see that, that's something that would relieve me and let me know that I'm being watched still by that person who I would care for. It's too on the nose. It's too many similarities. There's too many things that are on point for me to not take notice about that. You feel me? So it's like, you really just, but obviously other people can be like, what the fuck is going on? Because that's a natural reaction. That's an absolutely normal reaction.
Well, You're smart, so dude. Like mathematically speaking, like coincidences, they just don't happen, right? So like you happen to have a bunch of coincidences at once, and it's like this shouldn't be possible. You know what I'm saying? Math from a mathematical standpoint, like it just doesn't happen, and that kind of goes into that simulation type theory. Like, you know what I'm saying? A lot of the shit that we see these days could, lend itself to that. We have video games right now that we have these open worlds, and it's like if we were around 1,000 years from now, who knows what we could program, right? So like, are we in a simulation?
There's a better chance we're in a simulation than we're not. That's a fact.
Yes.
But at the end of the day, like you guys were saying, I think sometimes we just want an explanation for things that we don't know about, right? So when something unknown happens, we always need an explanation. When a family member dies unknowingly, murder, car accident, cancer, we want an explanation from a priest or a deacon or a minister. We want an explanation from God. Sometimes there is no explanation, and we have a tough time dealing with that. I look at things like pyramids. You're going to tell me that they got that much manpower to be that perfectly mathematically symmetrical? If you actually break down the pyramids and the symmetry within those pyramids, at that time, with the technology they had, there has to have been some outside influence. It could not have just been a bunch of random slaves, because it's so hard. If you ever work carpentry, it's so hard to even get a roof correct with people if they don't know what they're doing. They weren't snapping lines back then. They didn't know what to do. So for me, I'm gonna keep it at this: pyramids, aliens. That's all I got.
It's too good. It's too perfect. I don't know. Old math is like kind of wild though, because back in the day, Mayans were able to invent what we know today as calendars based on the sun's trajectory. So it's like it's just making the best of the tools that you got. It's a really big motif of just taking what you have and utilizing it the best that you can. You feel me? Like, how would you know that? How would you know that the sun rotates unless you study it? You feel me? I feel like old math is like, whoa. It's some shit that we wouldn't be able to compute as well as we're able to unless you're like a mathematician, unless you go out of your way and study into that field. You feel me? It's too, but like that. It's
anytime you came up with something new, you possibly could get murdered for that.
Yo, that's
got to come up with a new idea. Somebody might try to murder you. So even if you had an idea, you might not be able to express it.
Either you would be murdered, or someone would take that patent away from you, or buy it from you. It's just too many unknowns for certain certainties. What I forgot. It's mad funny because I got this quote from an episode of Boondocks. It was the evidence of absence is not the absence of evidence, or something to that degree.
Right. So we don't want to go down this. We don't want to do this right now. I'm telling you, we will be here for 6
on
hours.
My reading list, right? On my reading list, and it's a long one, but ancient Egyptian pharaohs were actually alien beings. It's not saying were they. It's saying they were. It's not telling you. So it's a fucking fact, all right? We already know. But yeah, so we already talked a little bit about what you do when you're not making music. You're very artistic and stuff like that. So why don't you kind of break down what do you do when you're not making music? Is there something that you like to do to kind of reset yourself that's not music related?
A whole lot. I do a whole lot. I'm very very adventurous. Not adventurous. I'm an extrovert. So I'm outside most of the time. I love taking walks. I don't know why. I just like going outside and walking.
Same.
Over the course of the years, I've been there are times where I was super, super depressed, and because of depression, you're not really able to visualize things as they are. And even if you do, then they're given a very negative denotation and connotation. You're not really giving it the appreciation that it deserves. So that's what I've been doing over the course of these past few years, just really appreciating the shit around me, and the good and the bad, really just taking everything in and being like, want to know what? That tree looks cool, and it's mad simplistic, and people are like, that's weird. But at the end of the day, this is our world, you're living in it. You might as well make the best of it. You might as well make the best of the experiences.
I definitely
I'm taking walks. I read a lot, but I'm what they call a weeaboo. So I read a lot of manga and I watch anime, if you will. My book collection is actually like kind of behind me. It's a lot. So I'm reading, or I'm regular writing. Let's just like writing normally, like writing journals and writing poetry, just to keep my head sharp and my pen sharp. Not to be like, oh, this will make me a better rapper, but like I the whole reason I started this is because I like writing. So I figured I might as well just keep on doing that. Slowly
you writing rhymes, or are you more focused on just writing?
It really just depends on where my mind's at.
Okay.
You know, if I'm really feeling up for it, I'll be like, okay, I'll just write. I'll like free write a lot, right. Just to be like, okay, why not? Just to write, see where my head's at, see where my hands are at, and see what's going on.
Free writing is good practice.
It's good practice, and I think even if you don't rap or make music, it's something that you should do anyway. Honestly, I feel like it's something that a lot of people should just employ for the sake of doing so, just so you can be like, okay, you know. I feel like I've always been very visual, and I like when things are tangible. I like being able to be like, okay, this makes sense because it's right in front of me, you know. So when I'm not doing that, I'm writing, I'm reading. Sometimes I draw, rarely, but sometimes I do. I play video games here and there, but I've like not lessened that, but I'm very picky on what I play nowadays.
Yeah.
So, like,
I play a lot of video games too, but I get bored quick because I got ADHD. So it's like I'll play a couple rounds on Warzone. I'm like, nah, this is boring, and then I'll jump on something else like NBA 2K, and I'll be like, play a game, and I'll be like, all right. Then it's like I'll watch. You know, I can't stay on something for too long. So like, my focus has to be pretty interesting. And video games are just like a time. They just take your time. You're not really too interesting unless, I mean, don't get me wrong. Once you get like Resident Evil or something, you play through the story. You're kind of stuck on that. You know what I'm saying? But after that, it's like I just delete the game. I'm not trying to keep it. I'm not trying to play it again. You know, so it is what it is.
Yeah, exactly.
Game's a time killer. That's pretty much what it is. Kill time.
Boy, that's changed a lot too, man. Video games have changed so much. I explained that to the generation of, say, like, when we played in a video game in my generation, you had a certain amount of lives. There was like a beginning and end, and if you died without getting to a certain spot, you had to start all the way back at the beginning.
Yeah,
so like you cherish them like 3 lives you would get in Mario. You cherish that. You got to the castle, you hope you had a couple extra. But now a lot of the games are just like, you die, you wake up, you die, you wake up, you die, you wake up. So it's a different type of strategy. It's a more statistical in that sense. You know,
pay attention to more shit.
Right, and you're competing against people from all over the world. We were competing with our homies in a room, and that was it. And then you'd be fighting for the remote. I remember when the Nintendo 64 came out with them 4 remotes. That blew up.
Yep.
It's my turn. What the fuck? Mom said it's my turn. Get the fuck up.
Imagine your whole life you play 2 remotes. Your whole life it's been 2 remotes. They double it with the Nintendo 64. Blew my mind. Now you guys can all play with each other and talk about how your life is going on. Might not even really be playing. That's beautiful. I wish I could have done that. My mom was on the phone telling me get off the phone after 10 o'clock. You know, like the whole it's different.
It's
take advantage of it, man.
I used to go over to my cousin Justin's house like just to play video games because I didn't have the fucking 64. I didn't have like. Yo, I'm coming over. We're gonna fucking spend the whole weekend. We had MTV, the Beat Generator. I'd be up all night making beats. I wouldn't even sleep. I'd just be making beats all night.
Like basic
NBA Live. We used to run.
NBA Live,
yeah, that was the best NBA game before 2K. People don't recognize it.
I remember. I used to have one of the NBA Live games, and the soundtrack was so good. It was unnecessarily good. Fucking speaking of which,
they fucking NBA Live on Sega Genesis, dude.
Oh man.
Double dribble on Nintendo, bro.
It was so fucking dope. It was like everybody was a pixelated person, but you knew who they were because they had the number.
Yeah. It's not crazy because earlier one of you guys were mentioning going to each other's houses and playing games and whatnot. And what I find amazing about that is that the video game community, based from what I've seen and from, because I would say call myself a gamer. You know, I play a lot of games and I pay attention to, you know, certain game studios and whatnot. The community's still there. You know, the act of going to your friend's house in order to play a game, that shit's still being done. You know, I go to my boy's house to play a certain game because I don't got it, or they come to my house, or because vice versa. You feel me? Yep. And I love the idea.
Are you guys playing? Sorry to interrupt. So you guys are playing the same game? Like he'll go over, you guys will be playing the same game?
Yeah. Or sometimes there have been cases where we brought our systems and our TVs.
Yeah, bring it right over
just to set some shit up. You know, just play around.
Join the same lobby, you're playing, you're sitting right next to each other or some shit like that. I'd done that playing as him kind of like, you know, 10 years ago. I don't really do that shit anymore. I just don't have time. But yeah,
when I was his age, we went to somebody's house because they were the only ones that had it. And like you always went to the person's house that had like the most games or whatever. Like, oh, we got the new Mike Tyson Punch Out. We got to go to his place, right?
Yeah. So let me borrow your Punch Out.
That's cool that you. I didn't know. Like, I'm happy you're telling me this because I would have thought nobody was ever doing it anymore. I would have thought, what's the point? What's the point?
Those ideas are still there, man.
I remember a time when the internet was young and like people played first-person shooter games, and the main mall had a fucking place, and it was just all computers, and people would be playing fucking shit, and you'd have to pay by the hour and shit to play it. And I was like, these motherfuckers is dumb. Like, I got fucking Sega at home. Like, I got my PlayStation. What the fuck? But I guess it was more advanced. You know what I'm saying? I had no idea. I'm just like, wow, these people. But it was the same idea. Just everybody in there, and they're joining up with each other, and they're all playing in a dark fucking room. And I was like, damn.
It's mad crazy, too, because that same tenacity that people would have for video games and that same community that people would have for playing video games, I've taken that appreciation into other mediums like movie watching or TV show watching, or in this case, music, because I love collaborating with other people. I love going and meeting up with new people with new ideas and new perspectives and new ways of doing things. I love that shit. That's what helps me. That's not only what helps me grow as an artist, but grow as a person. Because it's just like, wow, look at all these brand new things that I wouldn't even have considered had I not gone here, had I not made the trip myself. You feel me? So it's the large sense of community that helps launch each other forward, but only if you utilize it in that way. Only if you put yourself in those circles. Like, I try to go out to a lot of music events and shit, not only to scope out the competition as you would, because in rap it's kind of cutthroat, but like at the end of the day, we're all musicians, we're all artists, we're all doing the same shit because we like doing it. So it's always cool to see, like, I do a lot of open mics and shit because it's like, hey, everyone else is showing what they get to do, I'm gonna do that, fuck it, right? Why not? And people will come up to me like, oh, you're this, or oh, you sound like that, or oh, dude, that's mad crazy because I wouldn't think of doing that. And it's like, dude, I know, that's why I'm here, you know? It's so much, these things are I find so much enjoyment in going out and finding these new things, finding these new ideas, and finding these new people and new creatives, because that's just what people are supposed to do. We're supposed to evolve. You know, we're supposed to grow. It doesn't have to. Boston has a really bad stigma with music where everyone hates each other, when that's just kind of not the case. Musically, what's presented, yeah, that's the case. But at the end of the day, there's so much love within the art and music community. Like, I remember I went to an event the other day, and I was like, I know like 80% of the people here because we all go to music events, you know? Yep. Or like, oh, I've worked with this person before. You know what I mean? So it's just like, I find it wonderful that same level of community can be shared through different mediums, not only through video games or through anime or through fucking Funko Pops, for example. It can be shared through whatever you really want to put it through.
Hell yeah. I want to shout out Fire on 4 right now. It is 9:00-ish. So we got the smoke break. Smoke it if you got it. I got a song from something new here.
Brioche Bun. I love that song. I love that song. That's my
So
shit.
we're finally going to jump into some music here during the smoke break, which is presented by Firearm 4, y'all. So make sure you go check them out down at 367 4th Street in Portland, Maine's Old Port District. They are recreational cannabis now. No more med card required over there. So go see them. They're open every single day of the week. Check their Instagram and Facebook for
But if you get your med card, you pay less.
Right, but they don't do med at all anymore over there. So that's the thing.
Gotcha.
If you want med, you can go over and go over to Beach Boys, which is also owned by them, which is in South Portland, and they will handle you over there. But they are not a sponsor.
Gotcha.
But they're owned by the same people, so it is what it is. But yeah, obviously, I have a med card, and I support people with med cards. Recreational is cool because it makes the state money, and I'm cool with that. But yeah, so let's jump into this song. Why don't you give us the background on this song real quick before we play it?
All right, so I'm like, at that point in my music career, I was like, I decided I used to be exclusively on SoundCloud because, again, I was like, I don't give a fuck. Like, if you're gonna listen to it, you're gonna listen to it. If you're not gonna listen to it, you're not gonna listen to it. Whatever.
Yeah.
But people are like, Marco, what the fuck are you fucking doing? Put your music out on multiple platforms. Why haven't you done that already? And I'm like, I guess you're right. And so I decided to do that. And so while this isn't the first song that I put on multiple platforms, this was probably the most liked one from what I'm able to gauge. And it's mad crazy because I, at the time, I didn't really know how to title things. So I just would name shit after the beat. Hence why the song name is Brioche Bun. But it's mad crazy because I don't mention bread at all. I know. But anyway, it's like, at the time, all of my song covers would just be things that I've read and things that I've like screenshotted and cropped and edited so that it would fit in a certain format. And so this is a shining example of just me doing what I do best, me rapping my head off against a beat that my friend made. And I'm like, you want to know what? As soon as I heard the beat, I'm like, I'm going to do everything that I can to this poor instrumental for these 2 minutes and 11 seconds. And so that's pretty much it. That's pretty much it. It's Brioche Bun, one of my favorite songs that I've ever made. One of my favorites to perform, because every time I play it, every time I start performing it, at least like 2 people know that it exists. So it's like, yo, dude, you get it. You know what's up. You know it's good. There have been so many times where I have performed it that the crowd is just in it with me. And I love it. I love that sense of togetherness because it's something that I like to share. And if you fuck with it too, then that's even better. So
dope. And so since it is smoke break, I'm gonna jump outside real quick and do my smoke break. I'm gonna keep watching on my phone. I'm watching right here live, so I'm gonna be listening to it, and I'll give my feedback when I jump back in. If I'm not back in before the it's only 2-minute song. So if I'm not back in, Justin's just gonna keep it moving. We're gonna jump into the new versus old rap discussion. But obviously, after the song, you guys should discuss that as well. If I'm not,
I want to hear you guys' opinions. No staring. Tell me how you really feel. No bullshit. Keep it real. Keep it up.
I'm gonna jump out, and I'll be right back.
Love this shit. I love making music so much. Love this.
Department could use a guy with spider powers.
Something fucking new, mic check, Century 22, mic check, coming for the mic check. What the fuck you finna do? Head like symbol of avarice, spit gold, a king Midas derivative. First of my kind, unknown and so primitive, so timid yet too eager to show the differences between a fucking god and some everyday citizens. Showing is the key verb. Fly then the word bird are sent to levels that you've never even heard of. Versus akin to murder. Been nice, I've turned assertive. Now I'm a lean, mean machine who goes to show to close your curtains. Curtain call Eminem before I leave the venom. And they humbuck rappers' friends in the tournaments of venison. A couple sentences, a few seconds, and niggas calling me Edison, cause it makes songs with theoretical lessons and such and such. Recently, I have been on the up and up, cause back then I couldn't afford my lunch and stuff. Now the stomach super stuff, earning fight winnings from verbal uppercuts. I do a lot of damage so far, but I haven't done enough. Step up, get put down, hop in, get laid out. Facing ego bruised up like losers in MMA bouts. Fuck you and your story, I don't give a fuck who you bout. Another nigga under my boot, fuck, I'm a loose town. Causing casualties, casually bodies, and actually tragedies. Done so tactfully, it's like an art form actually. Rap triathlete despite my very lax physicality. Stronger nuts to rip these niggas in half, a brand of fatality. Finished, something done did it again. Ain't here to make friends, I'm here to bring ends, they're diminished. Niggas is chicken like Popeyes, and I choke you at Popeyes, cause I'm built like Popeye with the spinach. I'm not the nigga you would like to mess with. I'll stomp you to the ground even though talking is my preference. The man who switches slow so we can always keep him guessing. I'm the best, I hope you get the fucking message, because it's something fucking new. Mic check, Century 22, mic check, coming for the world's view. Mic check, what the fuck you finna do? Mic check, I said something fucking new. Mic check, Century 22, mic check, coming for the world's view. Mic check, what the fuck you finna do? Mic check.
Love that shit.
Yeah, I fucks with that. That's a vibe right there. Yeah, let me turn. Yeah, there we go. Yeah, I fucks with that. That sounds underground to me. Like that's the shit that I grew up with. That lo-fi sounding. Like you said, you switched up the flows a whole bunch in that track. Like, I'm digging it.
Thank you. It's my bread and butter. It's like, it's my bread and butter. I'm not gonna lie.
What's Century 22? What is that?
So Century 22 is, so originally when I was making fully start recording and whatnot, I was in college, and so I met up with a few friends in my college who also just happened to be music creatives. And it's mad crazy because we all came from such different backgrounds, not only in real life, but artistically as well. We had one guy who was just more focused on techno and DJing and whatnot. We had one guy who was more focused on lo-fi and had a much more rock presence. We had one girl who was just mostly like a folk-esque singer, you know? And then it would be me who would be like a rapper, like a, you know, it's mad crazy. And so like, it was just a pipe dream because we all ended up like going our separate ways. But I feel like we all ended up making this group of Century 22, C22. And the whole point of that is entering the new era of making something new and different, entering the new era of making something completely unique. And even though we're not together anymore, it's just me and maybe like a couple of my friends. I feel like the inception of that group and the mind state that we were all in, I feel like that's something that I will hold with me for the rest of my life, because it's something that was like, oh my God, we can do this. Oh my God, we can make whatever we want to. And no one can tell us anything else. And so I always like to stay with my roots, and I always like to stay with the things that get me to not only who I am today, but where I am today. So I always make sure to.
Yo, I wanted to say the song was dope.
Thank you, bro. I love that shit. I love it.
Yeah, it's got a pop to it.
Yeah, I really try to condense a lot of information in a short amount of time without worrying about a hook, which I appreciate, because a lot of my old, I'm telling you, you are a very old soul. I'm telling you, you might not realize it. I don't know if somebody told you before, but it's going to make you a better artist, because you're going to focus more on delivering the message, and that transitions into what, you know, Ryan was talking about, old versus new. But I'm not saying new isn't about the message. I'm just saying, as an old school hip hop listener, it was about the message. It was about you were lucky to maybe hear one song from an album maybe they put out, and then you have to buy the whole album. And if the whole album was trash, you had to buy it. You had to buy the whole thing. So sometimes some songs that might have been trash at the beginning, you actually start finding an appreciation for them. where if you have access to every song, you might skip through that and never revisit that song in this generation. You feel me? So like I listen to a lot of like old school Bone Thugs and Harmony. And I remember some of the songs I just wasn't really vibing with. And then as I listened to it more, I realized that the songs that didn't make the music videos were the songs I enjoyed more than the ones that made the music video. But your song, it's like like you guys were just talking about, it just reminds me of kind of like that old school style where you're just trying to put out as much lyrical talent and metaphorical ability as you can in a small. I mean, that song was 2 minutes and 21 seconds, right?
Mm-hmm. Less than that.
11 seconds, I think.
It felt like 4 minutes in a good way.
It's a lot, yeah.
in a good way. I enjoyed it in that way. I think it was a perfect. I think it was a perfect time frame.
Listen to it again. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, I want the lyrics. I want the lyrics. I want the lyrics with it. That's what I want.
Lyric video.
Yeah, that's what I want.
It's mad crazy because all my songs are incredibly different. There are no two songs that sound the same. So that's my one song that's like that at the moment that I have out. Because I have quite the vault. Quite the vault.
Yeah. Dope, man. So yeah, let's talk a little bit about new rap versus old rap. First, get this shit out of the way right off the bat. Mm-hmm. When you do live shows, and you have done some live shows, right? Mm-hmm. Or perform live, rapping over vocals or no?
It really just depends. So I'm not gonna lie. When I first started getting back into shows, I would use the vocals just so I can because I know my lyrics and I know when I'm supposed to do what. I know that. And some of my songs are super fast. So it would kind of make up for anything that I would be lacking for the moment.
Yeah.
However, in going into this new year, I'm trying to have less of a dependency on that. Only so it forces me to refine myself and focus on my breath control, focus my energy, and focus on basically what I'm doing on stage. Because not a lot of people would think about it unless you're actually performing consistently. But moving around is energy, being animated is energy. And it's a thing that consumes your energy. So if you're too energetic, you're not going to be focusing on rapping. You're not going to be focusing on certain rhythmic techniques, and you're not going to be focused on enunciation and pronunciation. Meanwhile, that I say so many fucking things that I have to worry about that. I have to pay attention to those things. Mm-hmm. So now I am going into trying to depend less on having the vocals with me so that I can force myself to get better without having to use my vocals. If someone asked me to perform one of my songs on the spot without it, I can do it no problem. But on the stage and having a set is different. It's a completely different setting, thus a completely different mind state, So it's something that I'm forcibly trying to grow from. But I'm not going to lie, having the vocals in the back of my songs was reassuring. And it helps kind of essentially keep me on my toes a little bit. But I know that if I take those things away, that'll only just reinforce that idea of keeping me on my toes and being as proficient as I am with my music. Mm-hmm. So that's why I have a show, I want to say in the beginning of February. That's why on that show and every show after, I'm going to focus more on just having the instrumental ride out and just trying to do what I do the absolute best.
Yep.
But I don't think there's anything wrong with having vocals. There's background vocals. I don't think there's anything wrong with that, because there's I think there's a problem if you're not saying anything and the vocals are performing for you. I think that's an issue.
Yeah, that is an issue. That's a big issue.
If you're just playing it in the background, and there are artists who do that, and again, there's nothing wrong with that, honestly. But if you're trying to establish a certain message, establish a certain type of persona or whatever, then there's an issue. Because I seen Playboi Carti just enjoying his own music in the background, and that's cool because Playboi Carti can do that. he can just do whatever the fuck he wants. But if I'm like, if it not like it takes away your credibility as an MC, but it's like if I'm listening to like a rapper, if I'm listening to J. Cole or something, and he has his vocals in the background, I'm not going to think of him less for it, obviously, because of all the things that I explained prior, and also from having the experience of being an artist myself and performing. But it'd be like, I kind of wish you didn't do that, But no judgment, no pressure. You should, as an artist, you should have the openness to do whatever the fuck you want to do.
Yeah.
But personally, I'm going to try to avoid having the vocals in my backgrounds just because I want to improve on certain things. But
when people come to a live show, they want to have a replication of the song that they may know or may not know, but to be completely different than what they pull up when they go to listen to it on the internet, right?
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? So like they want a new iteration of that fucking song if they come to see you live, especially if you do a bunch of shows or in the same area, you know what I'm saying? And you got the same people that are coming to the shows, they're already going to see you have done that song. So if you come out and you're rapping over the top of your fucking vocals and you're doing all this, it's just like they could just go home and crank it up and, get drunk at home and get sloppy and just sing along with it and it'd be like the same thing. You know what I'm saying? So like, it's not much of a show if every time you're out there doing it. And I do agree, certain venues, like really large venues, may require some vocal backing behind you a little bit. But in a small venue, I think it becomes very hard to perform with backing vocals because it becomes muddy and it takes over a lot of times, especially in these places that don't really care about what you sound like. Like if you go to a place and there's got someone running sound and they're like don't really care as long as they can hear your voice through the mic. They're not really trying to fuck with anything. You know what I'm saying? You can get caught up in some vocals. I've seen performances that otherwise would have been great been ruined by the backing tracks on people's songs with doing a live performance. Now that being said, I'm not against people doing it. Like some will do it and some won't. I don't really care. It's just I'll gravitate towards those performances that are more unique. If someone like misses their vocals, then they forget a fucking. I don't care about that. If they're rapping over the fucking thing, or if they pick up and they freestyle or something, you know what I'm saying? That don't bother me. Like it doesn't bother me at all. They're giving it their all is what basically fucking matters. You know what I'm saying? So that's what I'm looking for. I don't want to hear a lot of that over the backing vocal shit because I'll just be like, oh, you know what I'm saying? It becomes a lot sometimes. There were, hooks, doing choruses, and leaving some effects on that is obviously that I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about when the verse drops, straight verse, you know what I'm saying? And what goes like, what coincides with this is having a fucking hype man to hype you up and do your ad libs. I think really brings out, it's like an element of hip hop, you know what I'm saying? That a lot, sometimes people overlook, you know what I mean? I think it's important to have like a homie even just want to jump out and get on a mic if you know some of your words just to do the backing track. Then you won't really need that, you know what I'm saying? But if you can't do that, I can understand why in some stuff, like if you got a special effect on a backing vocal or you got something in there to leave that in there. But for the most part, I tell people I prefer, like you said, I prefer when someone just coming with the instrumental just rapping, and it's hard to do, and that's why I know how personally I know how hard it is to fucking remember every word and know exactly how it's gonna flow in there, while like you were saying, doing all that other shit, trying to maintain your stage presence and trying to be involved with the crowd, and it's not easy. And so that's why I respect it a lot more, you know what I'm saying? For me being an engineer and being like really, I like to listen and hear. I hear a lot of shit, so I'll pick up on that. And I've yelled at people too, like people are showing up at club like, yo, the mic is not fucking loud enough. Like they're going to be like, in the mic and we're not going to hear it, so turn that shit up. Like, don't be afraid to like fucking turn it up. But, yeah, I mean, let's talk a little bit about new rap, old rap. Now, when I say new rap, old rap, I mean, it could really be anything, and when I first started doing this new rap, old rap shit, it was always like, I'm like, fuck new rap, like blah, 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 but I've come around and there's a lot of different perspectives we've had on here. So like, I'm not like all against that. And we've come up with old, like, generation of rap from the 90s and shit. And there was some shitty artists then too, but there's been some shitty artists, you know, in the 2000s and the 2010s and in the 2020s. There's always shitty artists that are going to go out there and you're going to be like, what the fuck is this guy doing? You know, but I think every generation has pretty decent artists. I mean, you got Kendrick and J. Cole and, you know, even like the Migos, like I said earlier, they do plenty of great music. And I like how this year and last year, we saw the resurgence of some of those classic people like Nas has dropped that Magic album he just dropped. It was fucking dope. And, you know, Wu-Tang's back like touring and Method Man was dropping mixtapes and albums. And I like to see that, man.
The Versus series, too.
Yep, Versus has been great.
Yeah.
Versus has been great for the culture of hip-hop and as a whole. It's been really fun to watch those verses. I don't ever really partake like live, but I'll catch the highlights and shit like that and watch. I've watched, I think, almost all of them, not in the entirety, but you know what I'm saying. And it's just like, it's pretty cool, man. It's a great idea, and I love the idea of it. And I think it's really turned out well for everyone that's been involved in them so far. I mean, the Locks, they kind of fucking just destroyed Dipset, but
it was, yeah, but even then, it was a great
lyrics, it's not about the lyrics. It's all about how you hype up the crowd. I'm telling you,
Yeah,
Bone went against 3-6, and 3-6, in my opinion, they blew him out.
Yeah.
And I would never put 3-6 ahead of Bone in my mind lyrically, but when it came to a versus with a crowd live like that, 3-6 has some bangers that you might forgot about.
Yeah, that was a good one. But yeah, I mean, they just didn't really hold their own against them. That was a completely different vibe on each side. But the verses as a whole, man, has been really great. It's good to see these people coming out and doing that. I continue to watch that. Another thing that I keep my eye on is the Grind Mode Cypher. I don't know if you follow them at all, but Grind Mode Cypher, you know, they're out of New England area, and they just had Rod Digger on one of the ciphers. And they've had other people on there before, like Slain has been on there, Terminology and shit like that. But yeah, they're pretty dope. Check them out. My album's coming out here soon in February probably, and it's going to have a beat from the guy who started it all. His name is Lingo. And yeah, so they always every week release a new cipher, and they travel around the country. They go to New York, Vegas, wherever. They've been to Maine. They've done a bunch in Massachusetts and Florida and all that shit. So they're super dope. Travel around. They do the cipher. It's really awesome. It's true hip hop shit. So if you haven't checked them out, check them out on their YouTube or whatever. Grind Mode Cypher. Yeah, and they got these stickers and shit. Grind Mode Cypher. They got these. I've stuck these fucking QR codes. It brings up their shit. I got a bunch of shit from them. But yeah, let's kind of just kind of keep it moving, and let's ask this question. I like to ask this question to a lot of people when they come on here. If you could pick one song or complete project that would best describe you, how you would want to be described to other people. If you were like, someone's like, I got $1 million record deal for you if you give me one fucking song or project that's gonna wow me to like fucking sign you. Like, what would that be?
That's a really tough one because it's like, again, so much of my music is like, I would say it's relatively diverse, and so there's no one thing that sounds alike. But honestly, if I were put in a position where you bumped into the
CEO in the elevator, and he was like, "Yo, show me on your phone right now.
You got 2 minutes."
Yeah, exactly. When I get off, it's it. Like, and you had to be like, "Oh fuck!" Like, I'm gonna pull it up. Like, what would you do? Because you had to do it. It was like no choice, and you're like, "Fuck," you know what I mean? $1 million or just what?
Out of the things I have out currently, out of the things that I have out right now, I probably would play Brioche Bun. I feel like it's honestly, I feel like it captures not only my lyrical ability and the ability that I'm able to use within my cadence, but I think it shows a lot of my personality. It shows that a lot of my references are to things that I hold personal to me. Like, for example, I literally start off the song with a Dark Souls 3 reference. That's some dirty shit. Like, you're not gonna get that anywhere else. But if I had the opportunity to show something from the vault, I would probably show the song that I'm going to drop next. I would probably show that. I feel like it's such an exponential growth from where I started and who I am currently now, because all my music is self-reflective in a way. You know, it just really depends on how it's self-reflective. Is it in the way that I'm trying to convey a message of something that I'm dealing with, or am I just trying to talk my shit because I feel like I'm the shit and I know I'm the shit? You know, it really just depends on how I'm feeling and why I'm feeling that way.
Yeah.
If it was just something out of my catalog that's already out, brioche bun, and if it's something that's not out of my catalog currently, it would be the song that I'm going to drop next.
All right, so let's talk about that song that you are going to drop next. Do you have a release date for it?
No, not yet. I haven't started. I've been so wrapped up with work and paying my rent, and bills that I've been okay, I need to prioritize. Things are much more important than rap music right now.
Yeah, no doubt. But yo, we got a couple more things to play from you. I think we got the YouTube up over here. If we want to promote the YouTube, everybody who tunes in and who checks us out after the fact, head over there to YouTube and give us subscribe there. And
shout out to those 33 subscribers, yo. Y'all the realest. You guys.
Well, it looks like 35 now.
Oh, word, yo. We see moving up in the world.
Yeah. Moving on up. So right now, though, I want to play this music video. It looks like called "Teenage Frankenstein." Right?
My most recent movies, yes.
You want to set this one up for us? Let us know what's up with this one.
In making a lot of my music, I'm very sample heavy. I don't know if you'll the more you listen to my music, the more you'll start to pick that up. But I'm I really love samples. Because I love music of all sorts, especially old music. That's just what I grew up listening to and whatnot. And it helped establish my perspective on music. And so my friend made a loop, like a less than 2 minute loop. And I have been obsessed with it for about a year and a half. So he's very shy about his music. So I'm like, hey, if you wanted to loan this to me, I could probably make something work with it. And it's so different. It's so different in regards to the approach that I took to it. And it's so structured differently than most other rap songs that it's it took me a minute to write it. It usually takes me 2 months to write in general, just because I want to polish everything. I want to make sure the message that I'm getting across is the message that I'm getting across in the way that I'm getting it across. I'm very meticulous. And I have very much a perfectionist mind state with it. But with this song, I'm I can just do whatever the fuck I want. And so that's exactly what I did. I did whatever came to mind. I used all my strengths, all of my past experience in writing and making music. I'm just going to go in head first and just rap my fucking head off. And I think that's exactly what I did. And as soon as I showed the guy who made the beat, the song and video, he was like, dude, you did this more justice than I could ever imagine. And I'm like, that's what here.
That's what's up. All right, so let's jump into it. And it is called
Teenage All-Star Evans, by the way. He's a very wonderful videographer and a very good friend. He's very nice. He's a very nice man. And he's rising up within the Massachusetts videographer, cinematography community. So please, All-Star Evans, please. I love you, homie.
Look here. Look here. Look here.
Go as far as I fucking can. Let's see if I can get home in house. Probably not, but you never know. You never know. Yo. Black tar, heroin, crack, spit, melt, tungsten with the utter of a syllable. Criminal intentions for suspended where they hear the new tracks full of fact to do rag, dominate. Set these stupid niggas straight cause they don't know how to act. Niggas pass off and specialize in actions. Killer one status, rappers near I had snapped them, cracked them. Any group of niggas give a fuck about your faction. No, there's nothing you can do, yes, cause I'm lesser than a faction. Like a piercing incrementals as I sway into these instrumentals. Switch the pen to pencil to make permanent events incidentals. Disembowel any sort of rapper, any challenger. My words become swigs from Excalibur. Black King author that turned from pristine author. Got 16/16s for any shit talker. Quip spit hit man, quick draw popper. Swift John Wick shit, Ritz done pop 'em bang. Y'all Y'all better duck for you caught in the lines of fire. Aim within range and range, leave them more than retired. Acts get expired. The reality check supplier, sending dreams to black holes, real hard drawn collider. Truth doing damage to your soul like in sentiment. C-22 bring battalions to settlements. Best in my region, still evident. Spit too real, understand every fucking thing I said I meant.
I was muted. Said shit was dope. I like the video too, man. Especially the part where he was like fucking do the mouth close up part, like the black and gray too. Like that was dope. The whole visual was pretty sick too, and the beat on point. It's got like that fucking James Brown feel to it, you know.
Man, as soon as I heard that shit, I'm like, I have to. There's no way I can't. There's no way I can't.
Yeah, I like that you were rocking the purple do-rag with the Grateful Dead shirt. That's that's somebody that says, I don't give a fuck about what anybody has to say. I'm gonna wear and dress whatever I feel like dressing up today. I like that.
I'm very, very much in the ideal of self-expression and not caring. Like, I if it's not me, then I'm not doing it, you know? Like, this is what I do.
All right, so we got some more stuff to play from you too. So I think we got this one that's called, what is it, Geek? I think it's called.
Yeah, Geek. That's pretty good. I think that's my second release, I believe. No, I think that's the third release on multiple platforms.
All right, you want to set this one up?
So Geek is basically establishing. It's me talking my shit at the end of the day, but it's me establishing that I don't know if you guys can tell by my demeanor and by the way I look, I'm not a fucking gangster. I don't shoot guns. I don't do shit. I read, I play video games. I pet my cat. You feel me? I'm not a hardened street guy, even though I was raised in those certain areas. And I know a lot of people who have been through those. A lot of my friends have been through a lot of those street-like situations. And to be honest, had I not been who I am personally, I probably would have been within the same realm and probably would have been in that same position as a lot of my street friends. But that's just not me. That's just not who I am. I don't like to portray a facade of a personality of who I'm not. That's just not me, you know? And so in this song in particular, I'm establishing that I'm just a geek. I'm just a nerd. However, when it comes to rapping, when it comes to something that I have been putting myself in through for like 6-7 years at that point, I'm no holds barred. If either you're with me or against me, and even if you are with me, then tough titty, I'm probably better at rapping than you. That's just what it is. And I'm letting everyone know that even if you do this shit, I'm probably better than you. It sucks to suck. I put a lot of time and pressure into my shit. Either you're with me or against me. If you don't like it, get better. If you don't like me, get good. Fuck it. All
right, let's let it roll then. So something new with Geek.
I get it, I got it. How a nigga really flossing on the street despite looking like a freak and wearing shirts that's meant for geeks. I get it, I got it. Same nigga who can spaz on top of beats and never talk about the streets. Your rappers still could not compete. I get it, I got it. Crazy how I read them like Artemis Fowl. Then they're forced to throw the towel, cause my mouth works like my bowels. I get it, I got it. All these niggas soft, they had to call the foul on beef but couldn't take the cow when it socks them in their jowl. I get it, I got it, it's done. Now I'm here rapping for keys when back then it was for the fun. Most of my peers be rapping about guns, but I've never seen them with one. That's different. Talking about shit I'm living while going the distance, cause my talents were not so gifted. Ability leveled and shifted like Jiminy Christmas. How I'm built with bricks of linguistics. Right here hieroglyphics cause niggas don't understand. Beats changing like channels still on demand. Spit laughs is a true call me Wonder Man. Of course I'm spitting ace English, no wonder man. Better than your favorite bars and leave them in the paper. Started rapping out of spite, now I'm here to make some statements. Take on the A-list, once I print out on my aimless. Now I print upon these weak city rappers who be aimless. Sipping on tea mix with lemonade, ain't ever been afraid said J and M became renegade. Write killer pages like Hemingway. Slice chicken heads, throw the hen away. Spit just out every day. Build my foundation that's made from the truth. Strengthened like Broly when stepping the booth. The power is too absolute, while in yet I'm astute. Niggas cannot compute what I do. Except that hit harder than harder, hit step backs. Blast off Mendo with the jetpack. Y'all niggas never had setbacks, y'all only said that. I sense that. Got a large with your capping. Wrote my experience while you're a yapping. Bitch only bark little sapping, but like twigs I'm snapping. Crap rappers like lobster I'm sampling. Y'all don't really act what you rap like. You went on the grind with the half pipes. Got a hell mouth puppy in the past life. Never needed niggas, all my punches half spikes. Referred as the beast from the east. Flambe go cook 'em so my fam can eat. Used to stay low, stay discreet, now I don't taste defeat. So know at the least when I get it, I got it. How a nigga really flossing on the street despite looking like a freak and wearing shirts that's meant for geeks? I get it, I got it. Same nigga who can spaz on top of beats and never talk about the streets. Your rappers still could not compete. I get it, I got it. Crazy how I read them like Artemis Fowl. Then they're forced to throw the towel cause my mouth looks like my bowels. I get it, I got it. All these niggas soft, they had to call the foul on beef but couldn't take the cow when it sucks them in the jowls. I get it, I got it. How a nigga really flossing on the street despite looking like a freak and wearing shirts that's meant for geeks? I get it, I got it. Same nigga who can spaz on top of beats and never talk about the streets. Your rappers still could not compete. I get it, I got it. Crazy how I read them like Artemis Fowl and they're forced to throw the towel cause my mouth looks like my bowels.
So yeah, we got like a different vibe with that one, you know what I'm saying, than the other ones that we heard too, which was cool. So different flows with that one, which was good, to hear. It's kind of like what we were talking about earlier, like a blend of all the generations of fucking hip hop together, which is what I like to do too. You know what I'm saying? Like I don't get me wrong, I'm not like one to sit here and make only boom bap. I like to rap on a couple boom bap beats here and there, but like I do like beats with nice 808 and pianos and like spacey fucking. I've sampled a lot of in my beats. I've sampled a lot of trance and house music, and so I like shit like that. And yeah, man,
that's the one, bro. That's the one. If you get locked in the elevator with the producer,
really,
that's the track because that shows your layers. You merged a bunch of styles together.
Yeah.
So I felt that one was more original. That's my favorite one.
I'm glad you
it had like a catchy hook, and I mean, like it had like more of a pop leaning feel. You know what I'm saying? Like something you could hear that could be out there that people could easily just grasp a hold of. You know what I'm saying?
Did I catch a Mando with a jetpack in one of those?
Yeah.
Okay. I can appreciate that.
The references are everywhere. There's references to everything, dude.
I think that song kind of shows your personality too, and how, all these other guys that are rapping about this, same shit. They're not really doing that. This is me. This is who I am, and this is, I feel like that it really sets the tone for who you are as an artist.
Yeah.
Thank you. I'm glad that you guys enjoyed it. I enjoyed making it.
Hell yeah. So I think we got another one too, and this probably I think is the last one. It's called Arm Wrestling with My Angels, right?
Yes. This is a fan favorite. It's a lot different than the other ones, but I heard the instrumental and I was like, okay, I understand what I need to do for this. And so I was able to get one of my good friends, Arc Zeus, very well known rapper in the Massachusetts area. Shout out to him. Give him a follow, please. And so I was able to collaborate with him on one of the songs, and it was really nice. It was a really nice different change of pace, and it was good for me to, have that different scope of writing and listening. So I think the song will speak for itself.
Hell yeah, let's play it then.
Represented by words built from my actions. Vocal, blacksmith, forged in ashes. Spartan ghost surveys while tiny titans are clashing. Mind wild like thornberry smashing. Passions placed above necessities. Looking out for balance, mental equity, cause lack thereof had left an empty me. Had my soul on ice, but not enough to let my movements freeze. Kept the notebook in my chest so I can let my lyrics breathe. Cause back then all the feelings were smothered by my own anguish. Knew not to confide with any nigga I'd hang with. Live a life that is dangerous. Trauma got me aging like the ancients. Regrets telling me that I ain't shit. The current me though begs to differ. Quick to infer that there's too much life to live. Know that the results are something bigger. With the world inside my hands, feel gravity inside my fingers. It makes the message that I'm destined to deliver. Walking through the days, riding through the nights. Focus on myself, know that I'm alright. Wrestling with angels dressed as demons, swelled with spite. Could never ever take the nigga out the fight. Yo, 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 yo. Walking through the days, riding through the nights. Focused on myself, know that I'm alright. Wrestling with angels dressed as demons, swelled with spite. Could never ever take a nigga out the fight.
Never tell a writer that their words are just words. You niggas got some nerve, so that's where I aim every time I purge with the curses. Shit looks like cursive when they curve. My aligning has been perfect. Perks of being a wordsmith. I knew that my purpose wasn't solely meant to be perceived by what's sitting on the surface. Breaking nails while surfing, I say hi, stay high till I'm skating on a ras-cast ocean with my backpack open. Smell the gas that's potent. Ain't no mathematics, this shit's acrobatics, how I'm floating. Fading through these phases till I'm blooming. Rapping like I still got something to prove to these students. I'm truly coolin', never fooling. While I'm chasing the cool, that's what to Lewin. So, brother number 2, until I control the system of influence. And niggas know I do it, that's why they in tune with the music I'm spewing. Even when they claim they ain't listening to it. Never gon' decay, always staying right. Even on my days when I ain't feeling right. Pestering with pain, of course I put up a fight. Cause I'm always gonna be one to show my might. As I'm walking through the days, riding through the nights. Focused on myself, know that I'm alright. Wrestling with angels dressed as demons, swelled with spite. Could never ever take a nigga out the fight.
Yeah. So that was pretty dope. It's just that fucking loop and everything was vibing. I love the sample, obviously. And it's a good vibe. Now that's up my alley, you know what I'm saying? That's the kind of shit I vibe with right there. As far as everything, like the first one and that one, definitely what I'd be fucking bumping.
Yeah,
but yeah.
For everybody.
Yep, hell yeah. So yeah, I mean, what do you guys think of that?
It's cool to hear the collabo, the collabo.
Yeah.
I mean, me and Ryan have done so much collabing. It's been crazy. I feel like I did more songs. I've recorded more collaborations sometimes than I would solos. Sometimes I need to dig into my solos a little more, but I think it was cool for you to collab because there's obviously a deep message behind that song. So when you can collab with somebody and rap about a similar message, and you're both using it as therapy and you're both coming up with real things, it's a beautiful moment. It's like it's hard to explain. It's like you could be in the studio for 8 hours trying to perfect that track, and it feel like an hour. You walk out of there like feeling refreshed, renewed. So, something new. I don't know how you felt, but I'm sure like you said, it's therapy. So, but yeah, that song seemed deep. I really enjoyed it.
Oh yeah.
If you go to the demo, if you go to my old demo, I'll put it in there in case you guys ever like listening to it at some point. Probably not, but it'll be there. But that's
we'll check it.
What it was. That was my inception. That's like it got me to this point. I'll put it in the chat in case you guys want to check it out on your own time or in your leisure.
Oh yeah. All right. So pretty much the show for you. So if you got any final like shout outs to anybody, now would be the time to get those in. Bet.
So honestly, if I were to be blatantly honest, shout out to the community, shout out to Boston as a whole for being so open and being so inclusive with the arts, not only musically, but in every other creative aspect. Shout out to all my friends, King Kaz, Arc Zeus, all if I were to Lyndon Vo, fucking Jeffrey L, shout out to T-Clips, like Lone Ninja, shout out to all of my niggas, basically, because it's just like I wouldn't be who I am without the people who I've met and the things that I've learned from them. I wouldn't be as good as I am without the experiences that I've shared with all the people that I have. Tayshawn Taylor, all those people, and all those people who I mentioned, and so many more who I've met alongside this musical journey. Of course, these past 7 years, without any of them, I would not be as good as I am. I would not be who I am today without it. So shout out to all of them. Shout out to the people who actually listen to the music, and shout out to the people who even realize that the music exists. Because whether they liked it or not, they still made an impact, a positive impact on me. Because even at the end of the day, even if they weren't fucking my music, they were like, honestly, it's not my cup of tea, but I liked how you did this, and I'm like, hey, it's something, I'll take it, or I wish you did this better, and I'll be like, you want to know what? Maybe I could do that better, or maybe I can refine it in some way. You feel me? All criticism, to me at least, is good criticism. All attention at this point is pretty good attention, because it's like, I'm not going to. If you don't like my shit, then you don't like my shit. I'm not going to hold it against you. You're not a bad person for not liking my music. Obviously, you're not. Shout out to the communities. Shout out to Bridgeside Cypher for holding so many ciphers and bringing so many groups of artists together. And shout out to Cambridge Hip Hop, because all the events that they've been putting out, and from there I've been able to meet a lot of people and learn from a lot of people. Shout out to you guys for even having me on here, which is absolutely crazy, because I remember you guys hit me up months ago, and I'm like, oh, fuck, I hope this isn't spam. This is not spam. But you guys are nice and genuine.
We exist. We're here.
I appreciate this. I appreciate any and all people who have crossed my path and I've crossed theirs. They've all had an impact on me, and they've all made a very large world amount of difference in not only who I am, but my perspective. And without that, I wouldn't be who I am today. So I'm thankful for everything that's happened, the good and the bad, the awful times and the fantastic times. And I'm thankful for every person, again, good or bad, because without those, I wouldn't be here.
Hell yeah.
No
doubt.
And if anybody wants to know, right there at Market with the Flambe, give him a follow on IG. Stay up to date with what he's got going on. Check him out on YouTube. Give him the subscribes over there. Something new. Thanks for joining us, bro. And, we hope to have you back when we do season 3, and come back and talk about what you've done since we had this meeting here.
This is wonderful. This has been great. Thank you guys for having me.
All right. Peace, bro.
Peace. Take care.
Peace, brother.
So that was good. Good show. I do want to mention real quick. First off, next week's guest is going to be Demon Dog.
All right.
And so if we just all disable our cameras real quick, we can see the background here. And so next week we got Demon Dog. Check us out at 8 o'clock as usual. If anybody out there is wanting to be a guest, just message us on Instagram, on Facebook. We have multiple accounts, Obese the Prophet account, the Prophecy Podcast, whichever one you feel like. Just message us. We can set it up. I am scheduling into July right now, so there's that. So I wanted to make sure everybody knows who's going to be a guest on for next week. So with that being said, I do want to mention the sponsors. I'm kind of trying to do this a little bit differently than in the past. So I'm going to be doing the sponsor stuff at the end, like you're kind of seeing right now. So First and foremost, npcstuff.com, obviously. They have everything you need. I know the supply issues have kind of affected them a little bit. So some things are out of stock right now. So I've been hearing that in the forums I'm in, and that's understandable. But for the most part, they got fast shipping. They got everything you need for your NPCs. So there's really nothing to worry about there. You know what I'm saying? So hit them up and get anything you need for your Akai products, and they even have some machine products stuff there. I regret nothing apparel. Obviously, we love everything they do because everything they do has a social message behind it, and that's always a good thing. And they are a Maine Black-owned small business, so we want to support that, obviously. And they hooked us up with some fly gear, and we'll be forever grateful for them to them for that. So hit up irnapparel.com to check them out, or get at them on Instagram at irnapparel. Fire on 4, obviously been a sponsor since day one. Smoke breaks changed a little bit here, over the course of this first season or two, but hit them up for their recreational weed down there in Portland and the Old Port. When you're around, they always got great strains, so check them out. And obviously Elevate Audio and Visual, where you can check out Elevate Audio and Visual at Elevate Audio and Visual. And you can also go to elevateaudioandvisual.com if you're looking for music videos, live show videos. If you're looking for pretty much anything that involves videos. I got drones. We can do drone stuff. Whatever you need. I do a lot of things. I do photography. It's not just music videos. So hit us up at elevateaudioandvisual.com for projects, whatever you think. We do music promo. We can get your music distributed, whatever you need. Hit us up. And don't be scared to tune in next week. We got Demon Dog joining us, and we got to talk about stuff we've worked on, him and I. And he just dropped a recent project with like a 5-song EP. I produced 3 of the songs on there, so we'll have that to talk about. And obviously more strange news loaded up in the canon to talk about then as well. And I'm probably going to have another guest co-host on for next week as well. So we want to thank Derek Cooper for coming out, hanging out with us, and giving insight and just, being present while we're here doing this hip-hop shit. So and everyone else, share this around when you get to it. If you can, help spread the word. And like I said, if you want to be a guest, you hit us up. Any one of us here will be able to hook you up with lock you into a date and time.
Justin, I appreciate you guys having me. I thank you very much. I came on because I want to support Obese, and I also want to support the hip hop movement in New England, because I think it's one of the most underrated areas in the United States for hip hop. So I want to appreciate that. I appreciate y'all. I got a hip replacement 2 weeks ago, so I got to get moving a little bit. I just want to thank y'all for having me, man. I really appreciate it. God bless both of y'all.
Hell yeah, bro. Peace, bro. So join us next week, 8 o'clock, same time, same place. Well, like I said, I'll announce a special guest co-host for next week, and we may even have another co-host moving forward as well. So I'm hoping anyway. So that'll be something we'll discuss next week, and we want to thank something new, Marco Rodriguez, for joining us and showing us some dope fucking hip-hop music today. But that's the show, and we'll catch you on the flip side. Peace.